TJ Horn.
Hello, and welcome back to Now Delete the show where we both new and older movies. This is Gino.
This is Robert.
Ricardo.
America.
And Gio.
And we have a special guest. He's been here a couple of times, more than a few times. Ernie.
What's up, guys?
Yes!
Ernie, we're glad to have you.
Glad to be back. I miss you guys.
Aw.
So, Ernie, tell us what you've been watching during all this free time you've had, all this quarantine time.
You know, it's badass. They've been putting HBO on Hulu. So I've been watching a lot of movies. Oh my gosh. Just tons and tons of movies I would not have watched. Like I watched The Lincoln Lawyer the other day.
Okay.
The Matthew McConaughey movie?
Okay, I would never watch Matthew McConaughey because I'm very like, but I forget sometimes that he's a legit actor. He doesn't just do rom-coms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That movie's badass.
Oh, yeah.
You guys watched it?
No, I never saw it.
I Legal Lawyer a long time ago, man. This is a long time ago, but it's not a bad movie.
It's great because it's based on this like really, really great book. So
I want to give an update on remember last week I was deep into a reality show craze. I finally snapped out of it. I watched in total I watched 7 seasons of Hell's Kitchen. You know,
That's
just
still
straight.
a lot.
Yeah, just straight.
Yes.
The only break I took was to watch the movie last week or whatever. But after I finished the 7th season, I like snapped out. I was like, "Oh, what happened?" like, yeah. And I finally started watching like regular stuff. I finally started watching The Twilight Zone on CBS.
Oh hell yeah!
New revival.
CBS All Access, right?
Yeah, CBS All Access.
Sponsored by? Is there like is there an
only?
overlay?
I'll put it only 3. Only it costs this much per month. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. I really like it. It's pretty good.
I'm just concerned about how much TV you're watching or whatever you're watching. Like was it 4 seasons that because last time we talked to you, were you on season 3?
That was I had just finished 4.
That's a lot, dude.
Yeah,
like close your eyes once in a while. Like
no, I mean like this quarantine is like a gift to me, you know. It's like it makes me feel like less of a piece of crap for doing the stuff that I used to do before, you know. It's like, oh, at least everybody's in the same boat, you know.
Yeah, like I'm staying safe. I'm staying safe.
Yeah. What else? What? Who else has watched stuff?
Oh, I watched that Hollywood show.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we finished it.
Yeah,
I finished it too. I'm not gonna lie. I over exaggerated what I thought the show was gonna be about until I finished it, and I was like, I guess. I mean, it's not that show. But I thought it was gonna go darker than it started. You know, so I was rooting for it, but then when I finished it, I was like, that's not how I wanted it to go. But
yeah, I don't want to spoil it. Sorry, go ahead.
You guys like talked it up on on the podcast, so I was really excited for it. I'd heard a lot of good things about it online. Like I hadn't seen anything negative about it, so I went in very hopeful. And the first episode, I was like, oh god, like I wanted to turn it off.
Really?
And I think you were on the same boat too. Second episode, same thing. Like I couldn't. The characters are just too much. They're caricatures. They're not like actual people. And to me, that kind of trailed through the entire series, except for the last 2 episodes were the 2 that I thought were okay. Not even great.
I can agree with that.
It's funny because I thought it started off great, and like the last 2 episodes really like it's like they didn't like there was no resolution to anything. It's just kind of like easily wrapped up. And I was like, well, what was without like spoiling anything? Like I was like, well, what's the point if there's no conflict? You know, it's like
I agree.
It was rushed.
Yeah.
Too, right? Didn't it feel like kind of rushed?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like I'm so used to Ryan Murphy doing American Crime Story, American Horror Story. Like they have their moments of being kind of pretty dark in situations as well. And I thought they were gonna do the same here of like 1950s Hollywood, you know, but it kind of never did. It just went like a very kind of like Glee, and he kind of did. I know he did Glee as well. So I kind of felt this was like a dream sequence of Hollywood and with Glee a bit. You know what I mean? The style, the attitude.
I see it. I agree with you. It is kind of, and I know that it was supposed to be kind of like, what if Hollywood was kind of turned around a little bit? But it was definitely like you still have like the racist Hollywood, right? That they're trying to portray, and that some of the characters are trying to fight. Yeah, so they're homophobic and whatever. But it just seemed like everyone was just like, oh, Hollywood is homophobic, not us. And so they would talk to each other, and they're like, "Yeah, we should do that." Oh, but the executives don't want us to, so we just won't do it. And then another person is like, "Yeah, we should do it," and they're like, "Okay." So it was just all so simple.
Gio, what did you watch? What'd you flip through this week?
I actually watched a couple of them more like in entirety. So I watched let's see, Gangs of New York. So yesterday I kind of had a Leo double feature with Gangs in New York and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh,
they were
nice.
both on they were both on TV.
So, do you guys want to talk about the movie, this week's movie, courtesy of our friend here, Ernesto Moreno?
It was
this week's movie. Yeah, he picked it. This week's movie is Johnny Mnemonic. Mnemonic? I don't even know how to say it. Yeah.
Mnemonic.
Starring the great Keanu Reeves. I don't have to say, that again. And directed by Robert Longo. I don't even know who that is. Ernie, I'm gonna let you give like a synopsis because to be honest, I don't know what the fuck this movie's about. So take it away.
It's actually a very simple story. It's just the details of it are gonna get bananas. But here it is. Johnny is a data courier, right? Literally carrying a data package inside of his head, and he must deliver it before he dies from the burden or is killed by the Yakuza. It's actually like remember the postman? Got to deliver this from there kind of thing? Yeah. That's all it is, right? That's the bare minimum of the story. Mm-hmm. All the details of it are fucking bananas.
So why did you pick this movie? Why did you suggest that we watch it and talk about it?
Okay, so it's going to make sense as soon as I say. First of all, the movie takes place in 2021.
Yeah.
That's next year. Okay.
Next year.
During the time of this, there is a national pandemic. It's called the Black Shakes.
Is it that fucking virus again?
And unbeknownst to Johnny, he is carrying the cure for this sickness in his head.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it, and honestly, I haven't seen the movie since I was 1995, so I probably saw it in 98. It's probably 12, 13, something. I saw it and I was totally blown away by this movie. You saw all that shit that went on in 1985. That shit looked cool, right?
Did it though?
It did, because you're like, that's 3D. That's what the internet's gonna look like. Oh my god! Yeah. You heard that term when he was just so. Johnny can obviously carry data in his head. That's the whole. Yeah. That's the whole thing. That's how he's mnemonic or whatever.
He's a living, breathing hard drive.
Exactly. And when I heard 80 gigabytes, what the fuck? I don't even know how much data that actually is. Yeah. And he's like, we've doubled it to 160. I was like, what the? 160? And then the data he's carrying is 300 and something. And I was like, this is blowing my mind. Yeah. I think I had heard maybe of a gigabyte at that time, but I know that wasn't I don't think in 1995 anybody was already doing gigabytes.
Yeah. Bro, you just sound
megabytes.
Bro, you just sound like fucking Doc Brown right now, but instead of gigawatts, fucking what gigabyte? What gigabyte?
It was such a trip when I was and I'm remembering how I saw it as a kid and now how I'm seeing it as an adult. It's a very different take on an old movie.
So, where do you land on our scale? Where do you land now?
Gosh.
Yeah.
You didn't do your in-out spiel.
Yeah.
In spiel.
Yeah.
But I'm unfortunately out on this movie because I do still like it because I have very fond memories of it, and it is a cohesive story, but it's so dated. In terms of the graphics and in terms of what they thought the future was going to be. There's a gang of people called the low techs. That's just that's awful. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, this is 1995 Keanu. This is Dracula Keanu.
Oh yes.
So he's delivering everything in the same cadence. Yeah. I mean, if you guys have seen Dracula and you see him try to do that accent, it's just ugh. No, nothing none of that, Keanu.
Count Dracula. No, I'm here this is my wife, Vivian.
It's so bad. And even that scene where he gets all pissed, he's like, I'm sick of it. It's it was worse than the Darth Vader. No, it's bad. It's really bad. So I'm out. But my nostalgia and my love of Keanu movies, like Point Break and things like that, that kept me. That made it out, not delete. I'm sorry, everybody. I honestly thought it was cooler than I remembered.
That's why we relive them, bro. We relive them for you.
Did you remember more or less dolphins? Like
the dolphin scene. The dolphin scene I knew was a little crazy when I saw it as a kid, but I was like, it made more sense as a kid because I remember reading about dolphins are so smart. The Navy's gonna start using them to sonar things. I was like, oh man, that's gonna be the future and shit. It's not. Did not play well. Did not play well at all. I saw the dolphin. I was like, oh. And the dolphin is acting right next to Ice-T. It's like Ice-T, a dolphin, Dolph Lundgren, and Keanu. Like it's just a whole mess of things, and you're just like, what is this movie?
You were in your head. You were probably like, hey, this is not so bad. I wonder why this is looked at as a bad. Oh, the dolphin.
Oh.
You forgot about that.
I forgot about the dolphin. And I did some background on that dolphin. The dolphin is swimming in like meth, in like a liquid form of meth, because that's according to there's a short story that this is based on. And in the short story, the Navy got dolphins addicted to a chemical so that they would do what they wanted. So in exchange for them working with the dolphin, they have to like feed it drugs in that tank.
What?
Keep it sedated.
What the fuck?
Guys, it's fucking crazy.
No, it's sad.
It makes
No,
sense
that's
though.
It makes sense because kids
It makes sense.
out so many times.
That's not a word I would use for Johnny Mnemonic.
They have to make like the spin-off movie where they free willy that fucking dolphin out into the ocean.
Nice
Called
stars in it.
Yeah.
it dies instantly from withdrawals.
Oh man.
I'm gonna make a prediction. I'm gonna say all the rest of you are gonna delete this movie.
Well, let's kick it off. Let's kick it off. Who wants to go first?
Or should I pick somebody?
Pick somebody.
Go. You pick somebody.
Yeah.
I want to see what Gino thought.
So of course I'm a huge Keanu fan. He's my favorite worst actor. That being said, I'm an out as well with Ernie. I'm an out. I mean, I wanted to be I wanted to be in just because I like the cyberpunk feel. And this movie, to me, is it's for Keanu. If I would have thought someone else is in his role, I'm like, nah, that's not it. That's not a good movie.
Yeah.
And see Dolph Lundgren to be this weird Jehovah's Witness Christian crazy motherfucker. It's like it was kind of goofy to me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Super goofy. Oh man, but yeah, I'm an out, man. We'll talk more about it.
If anybody was going to be out, or even at the very in my wildest dreams, it was going to be Gino.
Yeah.
I can go.
Yeah, go
Gio.
for it. Oh, Gio?
Yeah, Gio.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm kind of torn because like I understand the movie. Like looking at it, it's kind of like Hackers. It's that this is what they thought the internet was in the mid 90s, because it's like that totally weird some like sim of there's like the internet is this mini city inside these. Yeah. You pretty much have you have Tron to blame. So like I kind of like looking at it through that lens, like the story's it's pretty much just a drug mule but with data. So I'm like I kind of dig the idea. That's why I kind of want to be in on it.
Like you're in?
So
I'm a low in. I think I'm gonna be a low in.
Oh,
I think like, it's just enough because like I wasn't bored during the movie. It was entertaining. I was like, all right, cool. The movie, like taking all this into consideration, yeah, like it's the mid 90s. Tech is still in its infancy. Like the internet is still in its infancy. They don't know what the hell it is. You said it yourself. A meg was like mind blowing, let alone a gig. was like inconceivable at that moment. And
I remember having a 512 megabyte hard drive at the time.
yeah, freaking floppy disk. Got to save my freaking Microsoft
my
Word
gosh.
projects in there for school.
I think by the end of this, Geo might be out.
It's a low in. It's barely like.
Hey, it's like we said before. It doesn't matter whether you're in by an inch or a mile.
In is in.
Yeah, because like I didn't totally hate my life while watching this.
Did you not see this before?
I had never seen this. Hence why.
What?
Yeah, I had always seen like the movie poster or like the cover at like a Blockbuster or somewhere, but I've never saw it.
Same.
Until today.
What about Gino? You never saw it either.
Same.
Who's seen this for the first time?
Oh no.
Yeah, me. It looks.
Oh my god! I gotta see what those two think of it. America and I need to know what you guys think now.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh well, I actually like the story though, the way it was played. Like I think it could be played, like it could be done in a better way.
Yes.
Obviously, it's in '95. It didn't age well.
Yeah.
Tiana sucked, and I really didn't like his hairstyle. First of all. I want to know something.
You didn't like that cut?
No.
Even in the back.
That's like how you're gonna have to have for next year, man. It's
yeah,
2021.
right. And then I was thinking, he's not American, right? For sure.
What do you
But
mean?
he
In
is.
the movie?
No, in general, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
See, I told you.
Because I told her, I was like, he's not American. Why can't he speak
What do you think? He's
English?
like Korean or some shit? Like,
That's racist.
he talks by word, no? Like
He was born
this?
in Lebanon.
Okay, though. See, his acting's not great, but I do like a lot of things about it, like the Asian parts. The movie could be done right, but it was done bad, obviously. Ice-T comes out, come on, like Henry Rollins was pretty cool.
Yeah,
though. I really
yeah.
like
No,
him.
it seemed like he was playing himself.
Yeah. So like there's little things that could be good about it, but obviously it's not a good movie. So I'm an out on that one. But I do like some parts of it. Like it could be done, maybe the story could be done better, but what do you think?
Surprisingly, I'm also an out. I thought I just looking at the cover, just knowing that Keanu Reeves is in it, like I was like, this is gonna be trash. Like it's not the genre that I like. I'm not a tech person. I don't particularly like Keanu Reeves.
You don't like Cyberpunk?
So I was like ready to hate this. Not even really, no. So
The Matrix?
I was ready to hate this. But it was so ridiculous that like it had me laughing the entire time. And like I was asking myself like what the hell is going on kind of like every other scene. But I mean it's kind of it's pretty hilarious.
Especially the intro, like
what was the intro?
The information.
Oh yeah,
scroll?
with the whole like Star Wars like little scroll. It was a lot to read too. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
It was 80 gigabytes worth of information going up.
That totally could have been condensed a little more.
Or just add a narrator.
Yeah.
But,
No, like all that information,
somehow-
information you could have gotten in the movie. Honestly,
Yeah.
Because what they talk about then is like, hey, people put hard drives in their heads, and
Yeah.
there's this group called the low techs, and there's a disease going on. All of that is explained in the movie. I don't know what the title crawl is about. I have no idea.
Just giving you a heads up.
Yeah. But we definitely did need that title because otherwise I don't think I would know what the hell was going on. But yeah, surprisingly I'm out. Like it's like a high out. So yeah.
All right. I figured everybody was going to be out, honestly.
Ooh, but we got Robert though.
We got Robert.
We got Robert could be a wild card.
Robert's the only one that has a childhood memory of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I had seen this when I was a kid.
Okay.
But when you suggested to watch this, it surprised me because I was like, I saw this as a kid, but I don't have any like nostalgia for it, like with most of these movies from the 90s, like as we've covered many of them on this show, like I love them because they remind me of the time. So I wondered, like, why didn't this one like resonate? Why don't I really remember anything of it? And watching it now, I realized it's like, oh, because it fucking sucks. So
this movie's like a fever dream.
Yeah,
dude.
I am. I'm
it.
surprised that I am a delete on this.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that I am. I'm surprised that I'm the only one, because I really didn't enjoy this, man. I was like, there's a reason why it didn't stick with me, because it's so forgettable. It's so bad, and it's funny. Like, you guys bring up the cyberpunk, like all that.
Yeah,
there was like a big subgenre of these type of movies in the 90s. You had like Lawnmower Man. You had the movie Existence. Like, they all had like similar like threads in it, because it was at a time where like the internet was first like starting. Like, we didn't know what it was, so obviously like imaginations ran wild, and Hollywood was just like, oh, it's gonna be like this and that, and obviously they overshot it by 10 miles, so it's like, and a lot of most of these cyberpunk movies and these they call them like tech noir movies, they're really bad now because they were really lazily written. Because if you look at the scenes where it's like all the tech stuff and all that, all they do is say tech words. And just because nobody knew what those words were at the time, like they said, oh, they're really smart, because they're like, oh, we gotta hack the bandwidth, and the guy Keanu puts on a power glove and he's like, oh, and they at the time people didn't know any better, so like, oh my god, that's amazing, and that makes them age really poorly. Where I think you could have done it where like there are some movies that did kind of, they didn't look so ridiculous in like guessing the future, like 2001, comes to mind. So. I would
put T2 under that too.
Yeah,
that's definitely a cyber noir kind of movie.
Yeah, these movies, like, again, Lawnmower Man and all that, they really, really overshot it, and the CGI is impressively bad. But aside from the story, like, this is an action movie, right?
Right.
And none of the set pieces are good. Like, none of it is good. Like, that's why I was like, okay, it's a dumb story. I had no idea what's going on. Like, that's why I was fucking bored. Like, I get that he's a courier and he's taking this to there, but I didn't know why. I didn't know what, like, for who, like, whatever. So I was really bored, and the action wasn't doing it for me. And Dolph Lundgren is in it. He's great. But he's in it for like 2 minutes. And it's like, that's like having Michael Jordan on your team and leaving him on the bench. It's like, you brought him in to shoot a free throw, bro. It's like, you gotta bring him into the game.
Did you just use that reference before? I just remember, I had deja vu all over again right now. I was just like, hold up.
I probably used it personally with you.
Yeah, because Dolph Lundgren has top billing with Keanu on.
Yeah, and he's barely in it. And even when he's in it,
remember?
Yeah,
this is Rocky time.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, even when he's in it, like, he doesn't even do anything. It's not even part of the story. It's like who's the villain in this? Is it Dolph Lundgren? Is it that that Asian guy with the laser sword, which is pretty cool, by the way? Which
the laser nail.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, but like, it wasn't used. Like, I want to see more of that. You should have been like fucking hacking people up like crazy,
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, the villain wasn't exactly set up. You know who's fighting him, but you don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, who sent you to stop him from giving the cure?
It's a jumbled mess. You don't know what's going on here. The one part, and I'm glad you brought this up, Ricardo, when I started to kind of like it was when Henry Rollins showed up. I was like, oh shit, it's Henry Rollins.
I don't understand how you like that. It was terrible.
Because when he went on his little rant, because that to me, like, that part, it's like, that's when it embraced its campiness, because he was so over the top, and his little rant that he went on, I feel like that's a Black Flag song, and they just, like, he just spoke it,
Did you or did you not just groan out loud when Keanu Reeves was like, "Who's Dr. Allcome?" Like, it's code for Dr. Allcome, blah, blah, blah. It's a code to all come to this area. I was like, that is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Like, even back then, that had to be a terrible, like, name, right?
Yeah. And
even nobody's gonna catch on to that, really.
And even the plot of the movie, like, he's a courier that downloads the information to his head and he takes it where they extract it, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't make, even in the logic of the world that they're in, why isn't it better just to send the CD with somebody who's really talented at like maneuvering through people, and like somebody who's good at fighting and all that? When he could just take the CD and it'd just be better. You don't have to download
I think that's what they were trying to set him up as, but he just is terrible at it. It just so happens that he's terrible at it. But
I think the way that the movie tells me that it is that only the implant is using your actual memory.
Yeah.
Like the capacity of a human brain to do it, right? Which is why he had to relinquish a lot of his own memories to fill that space. So there's in this movie, they're trying to say that technology has not caught up to the human brain. So we have supplemented that by using a lot of it to store data.
Robert, why do you think drug dealers still use drug mules instead of just
that's what I'm saying.
Putting stuff into it, like
into a
but that's what I'm saying, and then sending it.
But
it's the same.
You're making this point because it makes more sense just to mule the motherfucker, just put it up his ass, put the CD up his ass, and have him go to the place where he needs to go.
You're right. No one's gonna check.
No one's gonna check. Everybody knows they have they scan your brain to see if you have data, right?
No, they scan his whole body.
Yeah,
they scanned his whole body, and they scan. By the way,
they could go low. They could go low tech and just shove the CD up the ass,
Yeah.
And
it
it's
would have popped up in
they X-rayed him down to the bones, man.
So when he gets scanned, they're like, "Oh, like you're." I don't know. Your brain is too full. You're gonna turn into sludge within 24 hours. Go see a doctor.
Yeah.
Like even the fucking machine that just scanned him knows.
Yeah.
And also, if he doesn't know what he's carrying, why is he so invested in taking it? Because he scans himself at the beginning, right? He backs himself up or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you only have, let's say, I don't know how much they said, but they say, oh, you only have 20 gigs left," and he's like, "Oh fuck, I need 80." But he still takes on the job. Like, what is it? Did he say he needed rent money? Like, what was it?
So I only know this because those numbers were very those numbers were very impressed upon me when I was a kid. So he has 80. He got the upgrade to make it 160. But when the guys gave him the information, it's 320. So he's fucked, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't know.
Right. But he can so the way that it works is that he has set aside that amount in his head, but the human mind is infinite. So he can take on more. But according to how it works in the movie, and I feel like an idiot that I actually understand all this. If you have that in your head without it properly spaced out, it starts to rot your head.
Yeah.
So he needs to get it out of his head, or else he will turn into a vegetable. That's what the guy was telling him. That's why Henry Rollins or Spider was telling him, is like, either way you're going to be a vegetable, and then we'll get it out that way, or we can try to get it out or whatever.
So it was going to end badly either way, right? Because not only does he turn into a vegetable, the data is also corrupted, right?
No, they could still get the data.
He was trying to save his own life, basically.
That's why he was trying to get out of it. Everybody wanted his head. Like, everybody was trying to take off his head, but he's like, I need to get this out of my head, and somebody's going to take it out without taking off my head.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
What I didn't get the first time when I watched it as a kid is, why did Rafi, his contact, send him to the bad guys to get killed in the first place? You know what I mean? Because he sent them to the bad guys so they could cut his head off.
Mm-hmm.
I never understood that. There was no reason for them to kill him off. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's just a bad guy. Fuck it.
And that's why everything, like, if it was simple, it's like, hey, you gotta take this over here. I don't want to say dumbed down, but if it was dumbed down more, it'd be a lot more enjoyable. But it over convolutes itself, like it's
because there's 3 people after this thing.
Yeah.
There's the Takashi guy. There's the Yakuza subordinate who's trying to I'm gonna get you, because his subordinate is also trying to fuck him, and then also who's the third guy? The preacher guy who was sent by somebody else to kill him. I was like, well, if you take the head, but you don't have the freezing thing, you're gonna fuck it up, right? I didn't get why they had Dolph Lundgren in there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, weren't they all contacted by the guy that was the head of that? Yeah, the pharma guy, the pharmacom guy. He contacted the didn't he contact Dolph Lundgren as well? Because he's like, I need extra help because my Yakuza dude needs help.
I don't know, man. Like Dolph Lundgren just shows up as Jesus and starts breking, like, shatters that guy's hand, and I'm like, what's happening?
I got a thing too. You know, like I kind of wanted to know what kind of guy was Keanu, because remember he comes in as a badass, Mr. Badass.
Yeah,
I can handle everything, and then he beats people up, and then he goes to the elevator, switches his clothes out. Remember that scene when he gets away and he puts like a wig on? I was like, so he's this kind of guy, but then that kind of guy never comes back. It was just that scene, true. And then he becomes like a sack through the whole thing.
That's just his terrible acting.
Yeah, and I was like,
he forgets who he's playing halfway through.
I was like, what's going on now?
He's supposed to be set up to be apparently like he had done wet work before. Mm-hmm. Like that's how he got into this kind of courier thing, that he can handle himself. But you're right, he never kind of handles himself past that initial part, because he gets the bodyguard. What's her name? Razor Lady or whatever.
Yeah. Jane.
And she's basically his bodyguard the rest of the thing. So he's like, why does the why does the good guy need a bodyguard? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. You know what's funny about these movies, about like these future tech movies? They imagine like virtual cities and all these things, like, but nobody was able to foresee wireless technology. Like, motherfucker, send that in an email attachment. You know, you don't need it. You don't need a courier. Yeah. Oh yeah, they can't. Yeah, because the screenplay says they can't.
No, because remember the whole internet is controlled by the pharmaceutical corporations.
Yeah, but I mean that's so you could have you could have somebody taking something from point A to point
B. Hold on.
Yeah.
Quick question. Back to the Future. He's in the future. He sends a fax. Fax still exists in the future. Come on.
Yeah, motherfucker. Didn't you hear me, motherfucker? I said nobody foresaw wireless technology. That's the point I'm making about how wrong all these movies were.
I know, because if you forget,
nobody thought about this.
That's what I'm saying. They're fucking stupid.
Because he didn't know that tech was there.
No, they're transferring that shit wirelessly to everybody at the end of the movie.
Thought about this.
But they imagine fucking 3D shit, flying cars, and nobody foresaw wireless messaging.
Robert,
you
know?
No, Robert,
no,
come on, man.
Simple.
At the end of the movie, they literally send it out to the world wirelessly.
Yeah. So why can't they? Why couldn't they just send it in the beginning?
That's through TV though. I think that's through TV though.
Yeah, it's through TV, and Ice-T tells them to record it with their VCRs. Forget about that. All right?
That's what I'm saying. Like they're so like these movies, and not just this movie. Like a lot of these movies, like they saw into the future, but they missed so many things. That's why, like, you know, they like, but that's what I'm saying. It's like a smarter movie. Like every future movie still has CRTs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at something like 2001, that has like a tablet, like a flat screen monitor. Like that's what I'm saying. That movie was able to foresee something like that, you know.
Well, listen,
it's just the level of writing that you get, you know.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying is that all you get is these people going like, oh, bandwidth, megabyte, blah blah blah, you know, just because they know that you're stupid and that you're not gonna get it, you know. That shows you the level of writing you have.
I'm not trying to defend this movie. I'm just saying that in the very beginning, his wake-up call comes into his head.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it does.
It does.
That's nice, yeah.
Wirelessly.
Robert's
so they have some super high-tech stuff, and like Gino said, VCRs, you know?
Dude, they ripped the whole thing off a CD.
Yeah. And it's funny, like
games.
Yeah, and like you hear like you said, like 80 gigabytes. Like, oh my god, you're so blown away. At that time, you're like, fucking 80 gigabytes. Who the hell could have 80 gigabytes? I have fucking porn videos today more than 80 gigabytes. You know?
Like my iPhone is 80 gigs.
Oh my god, Robert, you're so heated, bro. I haven't seen you so bad.
No, it's funny because it's a flaw with a lot of these type of movies, and it's funny, like the first one to finally kind of get it right, to crack the code, pun intended, was another movie with Keanu Reeves, is The Matrix, right?
Yeah,
that was the first one to make it believable. Like, okay, you're you know, it's future enough so where you could imagine it, but far away enough to where you could still kind of suspend your disbelief, you know.
But here's the great thing about that movie: they never pinpoint the time.
Yeah,
they never do.
True.
They do kind of say the future, though.
Yeah.
they say the future, but they never pinpoint the time. And then if you go all the way to the third movie, they're like, turns out you don't even know if it's the real time because we've done this a billion times.
But that's a movie where they sell it well enough so you buy the reality that they're in. This movie is not,
I think you have to look at the audience, dude. It's 1995. The internet is a fucking baby. Like,
literally.
You probably don't have the internet in 1995. Like, you are still recording things on your VCR. If you even figured out how to record on it yet, like nobody knows this. So you can't really blame them for just being like, oh, here comes terabyte, like,
no, but I kind of do, because that's kind of the point I'm making is like you have like, oh, we want to make a futuristic movie.
But you're looking at it through today's eyes.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Yes, I am. And but at the time they were aiming for the lowest common denominator, right? We're not going to go into detail of how plausibly these things could exist, right? We're just going to say things and not even think about what they mean, right?
You know what, Robert? I'm gonna stop you right there because they did guess the future. Do you remember the scene where he's going to go on the internet? You remember what he says? He says, "I need an iPhone."
Thompson iPhone.
Okay, relax.
You know, I was like, did I hear that right?
Thompson iPhone.
Did he actually say that?
Thompson iPhone.
Because
he does.
The iPhone.
EYE phone.
The VR thing that he puts on.
Yeah.
I heard it. I was like, did he just say iPhone? What?
I had the same reaction.
In defense of this internet world though that they go into, I like it. I wish that's what the internet was like.
Maybe.
It reminds me of that. It's kind of fun to imagine it as like a physical world where you can go.
America, you should go watch Hackers if you want a little bit more.
But you know what? Like if they had
so trippy.
If they had been in there more, I think it would have been more enjoyable. Kind of like almost like Tron, But
that would have been the whole budget of the movie.
Yeah, they go in there for that one scene, where Keanu's like. And he's just like, it looks so ridiculous. Even at the time,
Did you like the part where he had to hack by like moving the blocks around? He's like, oh, wait, it goes here.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Hacker man.
The CGI doesn't look great. Like it looks like trash. I don't know if it looked like trash back then, but like I kind of like it.
I'm telling you. Okay, well, like
his avatar at the end.
To America's point, when I saw it as a kid, I was blown away by those graphics. Right? I saw it. I was like, oh my god!
I think cutting edge at the time.
But I think even at the time, there were a little. I mean, I think that in the internet world, it gets away with it because you're in a virtual reality, right? But there are a lot of other movies that kind of overstep their reach, with CGI. Because you think this came out in '95, Jurassic Park came out in 1993, and Terminator 2 came out in 1992. Those movies look way better than this,
10 times. Well, because they didn't have a lot to work with if you think about it.
What do you mean?
Yeah, big dinosaur. Okay, that is a lot. But like, okay, you know what? You got me.
Graphics wise, yeah, I guess, but
you've seen dinosaurs before. Everyone knows what they look like. They're in your textbooks. Who knows what the internet looks like?
That's true.
Right.
Technically, we don't know what dinosaurs.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't.
Yeah, we imagined it for a long time.
The internet scene, I think, I don't mind that too much because, like I said, you buy it because it's a virtual world. It doesn't have to look like super real, What's funny is that you guys bring up Keanu a lot. I actually didn't mind him in this movie. Like I know he's not looked at as a great actor, but I enjoy him like in most of his movies.
Of course,
same 95.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But, so I didn't think it was bad. Like even like most of the acting was cheesy, and everything in the movie was ridiculous. Everything in the movie was so ridiculous that by the time it got to a dolphin, like I wasn't like that. Like, okay, there's a dolphin. I wasn't like throwing
it jumped the shark at that point.
I know. To me, honestly, I wasn't. I was like, all right, like I don't know if I wasn't expecting a dolphin,
When Ice-T shows up.
I know you're saying like the dolphin didn't confuse you, but even now I'm confused. What was the dolphin's role again?
It was a brain.
Well, so according to the movie and what I could take away from it, everything they do is low tech, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of their stuff is put together by old discarded technology. And from what I understood Ice-T explaining, and that's a weird sentence, we're saying that the Navy used to experiment with dolphins because dolphins were said to be able to talk to one another like without using words, so like some sort of mental capacity. So that's why they strapped the thing on him. So once the Navy experiment went away, they found the dolphin, and that's how they started building up their low-tech, like pirate internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys felt this too, but I was so annoyed how they couldn't just tell Keanu straight up it's a dolphin. They just can't make it sound like a person.
Fish.
Oh yeah.
Jones. Oh, what is Jones? He was in the Navy. Like he was like a captain or something. And then that's Jones. I'm like, what?
And I knew that joke was coming. He was like, has the fish done it? It's a mammal, dude. I was like, oh man, get out of here.
And then they like strap him in.
He has the little helmet.
Matrix like.
But the way, I know this may be spoiler, but like the way that they use the dolphin's mind to send out the frequency to kill Dolph Lundgren, but the way Dolph Lundgren turns around and looks,
that's a pretty cool death scene.
I expected more from that movie in terms of like
more dolphin.
No, the way they killed Dolph Lundgren. I expected
it was such
more.
a waste. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Honestly, a lot of this movie is a lot of head scratching. Like you watch it a second time. Like at this point, I've watched it like 6 or 7 times in my life, but only once recently. I remember watching that shit leading up to The Matrix. Right? Like I would see it. I saw it in like '96, and then I would see it on TV. Like on Channel 5, they'd be running it, and they cut out that whole crawl sequence in the beginning. And I've seen it a couple times, but man, it did not age well at all. Only a kid who's just like, only a child who just like, fuck it, and they're chasing him, and that's the Yakuza.
That's like 4 years later, though. They make the
that's what I was saying. Like those movies are only 4 years apart, and look at one holds up now, and the other one is like fucking ancient, right?
This was the blueprint.
And now
it was the first draft,
and now it makes sense. Like
Matrix without Mnemonic.
We don't get to Matrix without, and now it makes sense why they chose Keanu Reeves. It's like after Will Smith dropped out of the Matrix, like, well, that guy plugged his head in that movie. Let's get him in this one too.
That's true.
He still has the hole in his head.
That's true. And then when he take off his thing, I thought he was gonna be like, I know kung fu.
Yeah.
I just feel like this movie is exactly the right amount of wrong for me to have enjoyed it. And I don't think I'm gonna rewatch it because it might ruin it. You know, like I already got the feeling. Like I understand it. It like made an impression in my brain. Like I don't know what to think still, you know, and I don't want to figure out what I need to think. Yeah. So
I said the same thing when like after I took LSD, I was like, okay, I did it once. I got it, you know. I don't need to do it again, you know.
Oh my god! But I'm sorry I made you all watch this. I thought it was honestly better than I remember.
So what's next week?
Oh, next week is actually our pick comes from Twitter. It's from Meredith Loftus. Is our coworker.
What's her at?
At Meredith Loftus. I don't know. I'll put it right here. Don't worry. And it's Josie and the Pussycats.
Johnny Mnemonic style.
Yeah. Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh,
yeah.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've never seen it, so
I think you're in for a treat, man.
I am.
I hope.
And Meredith, if you're watching this or listening to this, I'm gonna try to make you proud. I'll try to enjoy it.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry you guys have to watch that.
I mean, there's no after Johnny Mnemonic, there's nowhere to go but up, right?
Well, this is another movie that's very stuck in time, I would say.
First watch Josie and the Pussycats and then tell me.
Yeah.
All right, because it's not funny crazy like Spice World where it's just a train wreck. We'll see.
This one tries.
I think we're in for a good time. Yeah.
That's the end of our show. Thank you, Ernie, for coming. Thank you. I hope you come back for some more next time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So please wash your hands, be safe. God bless America.